So I'd like to thank Jerry for the introduction of SEMI. This is indeed, he even remembered the year it was established, which is great. Thank you, Jerry. I think I would also like to thank very much Alan and the Techworks team for the invitation. It's this event particularly is always a great highlight to bring the year to an end. With all of you distinguished people across the whole industry, the value chain. I regretfully could not make it largely because, again, of COVID, and I had to be, in a hotel for 2-3 days, and there was just too many variables. So I would like to thank you very much for the invitation, but also I'd like to thank you for understanding. And I truly hope that we will get together in 2022. With so much excitement happening, we already heard, but there's so much more, increase in excitement that I think Europe, and when I say Europe, I also include, of course, the UK, that this has never happened in the last 2 to 3 decades. So there's really a lot of momentum, a lot of energy in the atmosphere, and we have already heard, the need. What are the mega trends, but also what are, there is the need for collaboration. I call it partnerships. I think this is really also of paramount importance. I will share with some few slides with you, Perfect. So Alan and I, we started, I think we did, Alan mentioned about the MOU, which we started, I think it was in Munich in 2018. And then it was really to strengthen the collaboration between SEMI and Techworks. Since then, we have used ASIN as the model, to prepare such a strategic partnership. And now, also with NMI, and I think Gillian, I was surprised to hear you've only been 20 months. I think you have made a significant impact. Congratulations. So I think we have set the in motion, the collaboration, the partnership in motion, that we have now really strong collaboration, both from an ASIN point of view and also from NMI. And we hope that we will continue to build on that partnerships moving forward to really connect, as we had, across the key hubs across the value chain. So we heard, I think, the whole universe with the last 20-21 months, 2 years, basically the COVID. And this is really, there are the silver linings that came out of that, but also we heard, the chip shortage, which started, as an initial irritation that impacted the automotive industry massively. And then after that, it became, this year, it became a global challenge across not only the upward, but also down the value chain. COVID has taught us a lot, and of course, it has a lot of, impact, but also it has provided a lot of opportunities. And we heard about how our technology has enabled that, our industry has enabled that. And of course, trade tensions, this continues. And largely, most of the trade tension, I think we heard about it also earlier, is technology. Our industry is one of the paramount, topics in the trade discussion. All of these, I think, has given Europe a great advantage in terms of, positioning and repositioning our industry, but also repositioning our strengths, our core strengths, and our core hubs. Look at, I think, Robert, thank you for bringing that up again. So this is to demonstrate, I think AI is really the theme of today. And I think AI, machine learning, hardware and software synergization is the fundamental way of moving our industry forward. So semiconductors, what is one of the lessons we have seen that now, and particularly very massively demonstrated by the medical, by the COVID, and the speed of which AI needed to do in order to demonstrate, solutions. Is really, it is true now. It is driving, all of industries. It is really maneuvering all industries. Of course, the combination of the semiconductor plus, the expectation is that by 2030, the number of connected devices will reach something like 75 billion. So I repeat, I reuse the data, the data explosion. But also, of course, the data is the paramount driver. With AI is at the heart of it. But also the semiconductors is needed in order to enable that. And I think this is something that go hand in hand in order to enable how our industry grows towards, what we call now the digital future. How everything is going to be digitalized, in order to be to maintained. So there is the growth in the AI. There is tremendous. My next slide will show the growth in terms of the semiconductors, which is needed to really continue to fuel the digital transformation. But I think we've already heard about it. The net zero, the green electronics, the green environment. So this is also a very a responsibility that our industry has to address. In terms of the sustainability, to provide a secure and sustainable future, digital future. We need to address how to minimize the carbon footprint, how to provide low power technologies in order to maintain these huge data centers that are needed, of course, for the AI. One example is Bitcoin. If we look at how much energy is needed and how many computers and how many power stations are needed to generate that, to keep that running. This is only an indicator, with orders of magnitude of data generated in the next 10 years. Then this also gives us the social and economical responsibility in order to look at how to address that. And it's our collaborative approach that we need to address also the sustainability. And we heard from the UK point of view also here a lot of that with the Green Deal from the European, initiating and supporting all activities in order to make sure that our future digital future is also green and sustainable. And if we put that into I think we also have the 1 trillion industry, so massive data, 75 billion connected devices, AI enabling all industries. This is the forecast, that it is estimated that our industry, the semiconductor industry, will more than double in the next 10 years. It's really, you can look at the drivers, from the mobile era, the industry 4.0 to the industry 5.0. And this is the digital age, at a much accelerated rate. And this is also very largely was driven by the COVID that has driven a lot of innovation, a lot of technologies in order to really enable for us to work from home, to do online shopping, to keep the whole world engines running, with a remote with virtual access. And what we can see on the right-hand side of this slide, it's also not only advanced technologies, not only state-of-the-art, 10 nanometer or 7 nanometer or 5 nanometer, but also a lot of the niche technologies, a lot of technologies that are today is what the core strengths of Europe, what Europe is positioned to, in that space, that we really need to maintain. And actually, it leads in that space. So we need to maintain the leadership, invest in that to maintain the positioning. And in terms of for the European, but also in the global value chain. And of course, with the COVID and with the demand, also we saw the world announcing investment in capacity in the new fabs and existing fab capacities in order to control the chip shortage for the time being, but also it is as we saw from AI. The industry growth is expected to double in the next 10 years. So we need to have the infrastructure in place in order to accommodate, the expansion, the growth. And this is where also Europe is, has positioned itself in terms of, bringing into the announcement that was made by the European Commission and European member states. We have big players, world leaders, we have the Infineons, the Bosch, the Intel, the ST, the whole ecosystems, not only at a company level. And I think we heard, and it's clear what UK has, which is also instrumental, to enable us to move forward. World companies, we heard Jerry mention ASML, they're also world leaders, world number one. So we have a lot of big players in the European ecosystem that will really help us to move forward. Now with the chip shortage and with the position moving forward is being referred to as, the chip supremacy. All you can see, all from Asia is trying to increase, and from the West, from the US, investment and increase. And I think Europe is now positioned in that, and we need to accelerate that. And I think the acceleration of the implementation is of paramount strategic importance to really have an impact. In order to be able to be well positioned in this 10 years. If we look at where we are today, so this is the current semiconductor supply chain, and you can see the US-Europe close, between the 8 to 9, but also the 10, 11%. But it comes no surprise. We see Asia as dominant. If we look at, it's more than 2/3 of the global market is basically in Asia between China, Korea, Japan, and Taiwan. But with the continuous growth, there's the opportunity of, the goal of the European Commission and member states, for Europe to extend its market share to 20% by 2030. And this has been also been, vocally made statements, but also the European Commission recognizes, the core competences and the core strengths of what Europe has today, in terms of its positioning and its leadership. If we look at the top right-hand corner, this ecosystem we have from innovation, from material, equipment suppliers, design, manufacturing, as well as the system integrators, we are strongly positioned, very strategically positioned in the global value chain. And with this leadership, of course, it must be of paramount importance that we invest in that so that we can continue. We also had automotive. This is also what Europe is very strongly recognized at the global level. We look at the system integrators, people there. So I think this is the core, the jewel of crown of what Europe has in the global value chain. And it is of paramount importance that we invest, and hence this is what the European Commission tools implemented this year. It started with the Commission Breton, driving on the alliances for semiconductor, for microelectronics, for semiconductor, but also the Pact for Skills, the recognition of the need that we need for such rapid growth. We need to make sure that the talent, the diverse talents, the upskilling and the reskilling are well positioned in order to allow that. And earlier, also this year, van der Leyen, Commission President, also initiated the CHIPS Act. This is a CHIPS Act Europe. There's also a CHIPS Act in the US, which was initiated in around June timeframe when President Biden visited Europe. So there are the instruments in place, that we can really utilize and build upon to build on the current strengths of Europe, not only to maintain leadership, but I think to also advance our strategic importance in the global value chain. And again, Europe, UK, there is a lot of, ecosystem, a huge value there that we can really accelerate by partnering together, by collaborating across the value chain to make an impact in terms of moving forward. I think semiconductors, basically, it's expected to reach 1.2 trillion in the next 10 years. And as also mentioned earlier by previous speakers, 2021, it's expected to reach $500 billion. This is a record revenue by semiconductor industry. Until most recently, 2019, 2020, it was around 480, 475. But in 2021, it exceeded the $500 billion. And almost the entire value chain, with the chip shortage, with the supply chain disruptions, they were actually being slowed down by that. I think the expectation this could have been significantly more if it had not been for such disruptions. COVID has definitely accelerated. I think we hear that in the digital transformation and boosted the demand for semiconductors. I think semiconductors, AI can help realize digital transformation, but also for higher social and economical prosperity. This is also a tangible element of our industry. Europe is very strategically, and it has everything that as we demonstrated from the ecosystem, to compete in the data battlefield, build on our resilient ecosystems to take leadership in the digital age. I think the uncertainties of geopolitical tensions, we can put that to an advantage in Europe, which can also be an instrumental tool for attracting foreign investment. We need to invest, I think, to maintain our leadership in the core strengths, automotive, R&D, equipment, material, medical, and so on and so forth. I think one of the key messages I would like to leave is we need to establish strategic partnerships, extend our partnerships across Europe and across the value chain. The speed is of paramount importance. I think we have an opportunity here. It's most exciting opportunity ahead of us. And I think we have everything it takes. I think we need to really partner on on the high value, high impact in order to make sure that we can advance and accelerate the implementation to move forward to maintain our leadership. We heard also again, workforce diversity and sustainability remain as our industry global challenges. There are also, Jillian mentioned, and also previous speakers, I think there are also areas we can collaborate on to advance. The diversity, the skills is a huge challenge, but also I think as a key players, we can make a big difference in a timely manner. And the last message, basically, it's great opportunities for closer partnerships, connecting the key players, the key ecosystem, and building on the strengths of different players in the value chain. None of us, no company can do it all. It's only by building on the key players and the key stakeholders and connecting the key ecosystems that we can accelerate and move forward and make an impact. And with that, I thank you and wishing you all a safe and happy holidays. And I look forward to being with you next year. Thank you very much.